Okay, so welcome back to the Jim's Mowing, guys. For those that have watched the first video on our workshop number 1, this is workshop number 2 about building a marketing machine. So this is more about building something that works consistently whether you are driving it or not. So in building a machine, we want to make sure that you're supported all year round around opportunities to not only provide new work, but provide more work to your current customers and particularly to your A customers as well. So, and like anything else, once you get some momentum, so it's about working hard once, getting some momentum with your marketing machine, and then all that happens is it just needs a little bit of a push. You know, when you stop moving something along and you've got to get some momentum again, keep the momentum up, so it just needs a little bit of a push along, a little bit of maintenance, and it'll continue to work well. So some of these things we talk about tonight will just require a little bit of practice. So again, this is about working with your A customers around how else we can help them, and fundamentally, who else do they know? You know, family, friends, neighbours, maybe their customers. And not only have you in their mind, but have some reminders happening with them that keeps you front of mind. So let's keep moving. So we're going to focus on building a marketing machine that's smooth. So when we talk about smooth, it's got to be something that for you is easy to do. There's no point in implementing something that's either onerous or expensive or hard, difficult to duplicate. Well, it's not really about you becoming a marketing guru. It's more about building something that's easy to apply, easy to get some momentum with, and maybe what you need to do is you just need to be able to build it once and then keep it moving, as we said before, about just keeping some momentum as well. So as mowing guys, you've all got lots of services you can help customers with. And so if you think about all your A customers and think about the ones you've worked with over the past, week or 2 weeks or 3 or 4 weeks, how many of them can you think of could have other things that you could be doing for them, that all you need to be able to do is connect those other services to your A customers, and before you know it, you've got other opportunities. And you think about that from a marketing perspective, how much does that cost you to get extra work from your current customers? And so that's really what this is about tonight. Rather than having all these services being the world's best kept secret, let's work a way of connecting with our A customers in a way that's easy to apply, that's fun, that builds a relationship and has them knowing about you, keeping you in mind, and when there's more work for you to do either with them or someone else, then you get the opportunity to open that door. But again, you have to drive that. Any marketing initiatives tonight will work well with A's. Remember that A's, B's, C's and D's? It just doesn't work that well with our D's. Remember the D's, they're the dead ones, the ones that have, I could say a curious smell, but that smell may not be an actual smell. It might be when you're talking to them and they tell you that I've picked up the dog poo, the gate's open and the check's in the mail, and you've all heard those ones before. The D customers are typically the ones that want you to do that extra bit and go the extra mile. They just don't want to pay for that extra mile. So, whilst we can't spend a lot of time changing people's attitudes, we can spend more time on working with A's, as we've talked about, and less time working with D's. So we want to work with A's around those that associate with other A's. They like you to help them. They like you to provide value, and they, not only that, they see value in what you do, and therefore they're happy to pay for it. So it's only going to work with the right people, not the wrong people. My role in here, again, is to help. But like in our first workshop, you need to stretch. If you don't change anything about the way you're marketing at the moment, then you'll continue to get some of the same results. So I think, for the people certainly that have been to our workshops, and you may be listening to this but not been to one of the workshops, it's possible that what you're looking to do around this, it's not a motivation thing, you're already motivated to want to build this. It's really about giving you some skills around how to market in a way that's comfortable and easy for you to do. It's never easy, but it's easier to do, and have and develop that process and have it working quite consistently. But nothing changes unless you think about it differently and take some action. And typically with this, you just need to work hard once, get that in place, and then just a slight amount of just some, pushing this along will keep that momentum going. So a big part of the workshop is to have you not having your winter look like this. Those times in summer when, it's like at our place, at the moment, the grass is just growing. You can hear the grass growing. And getting into spring and getting into winter, it's the time when things are a bit lean. The last thing you want to be able to do is to not have had done the work, to have your customers and maybe your days or your weeks start to look a little bit like this. Let's do the work now. Let's do it once in a way that has you a base that you can start to work with and start to work on. Does that make sense? So what you might like to do is stop just for a second here and make some notes based on what we've just talked about, which is things like, you know, how we can best help your D customers, how you can take the best kept secret and get it out there, okay, and how you can do these things in a way that's not only fun and enjoyable to do, but actually works. It's effective. It's, you know, your A customers are seeing value. So you might want to stop for a sec, make some notes, not so much about what I say, but what you hear. And then once you've done that, then we can keep on moving. All right. So let's keep on moving along. We talked about in our first session about different ways of thinking about your business, and we'll just look at this in a second. But when you think about it from a marketing perspective, there's two types of marketing. One type of marketing is what you call institutional marketing. The other one is direct response. And we've all had exposure to both, but may not be aware of what the difference is between the two. Okay, institutional marketing says, here I am. That might be, you know, your trailer, and it says Jim's, you know, Jim's Mowing. That's what you call institutional marketing, and that can also be an ad on TV that says, you know, Coke, or it says Nike, or it says something else. Now, whilst those brands have certainly got some momentum, that's what you call institutional marketing. It's just, here we are. It's a sign that says, you know, here is our business. Direct response, okay, as an alternative to institutional marketing, is the marketing that says, not only here I am, but if you do this now, then you'll get this. So it's that sort of direct response. So whilst we're not necessarily looking at mowing and giving away steak knives, it's really, everything tonight is about direct response. It's about reaching out and capitalizing on opportunities over and above, you know, and we can talk about, and we did this in the recent workshop, anything from doing, you know, core flute signs to doing mailers and dropping them into real estate offices, to picking up some commercial work through contacting, for example, you know, a joint venture partner that can lead us to some commercial work, to doing, you know, letterbox drops in local areas. You know, there's a bunch of ways we can do that, what I call institutional marketing. This is more about linking. When you think about marketing, okay, marketing to our current customers is not only the best, it's the most effective, and it's the cheapest marketing to do. So really a lot that we talk about tonight is going to be low cost, easy, and highly effective. All right, that's the simplest and easy way to market. So a big part of marketing is simply just changing the way that you think about it. You know, what will likely happen if you're out there, you think about it, and you're mowing. Let's say you can imagine, when those draft horses you see, they've got the blinkers on. They've got the blinkers on so they don't get you know, confused and distracted and scared by cars driving past, or trucks or whatever. So if you've just got the blinkers on, just looking and thinking about mowing, then, you know, what do you think you're likely to get? So this is more about thinking, when I'm out there, thinking about this in three different ways. And as I said, maybe when I get to the end of this little section, we'll stop and you can take some notes. But thinking about it from a different perspective. So the three components of marketing is, who can you help? I'm mowing someone's lawn. Okay, who in this area, who else could I help? The number one is, how can you help? Okay, and the third one is, you know, what other services, you know, can you help with? What other services can you help with? So not only what we're looking for is, we're looking to provide more work for others in this area around mowing, but not only that, what other services can we provide to other people? But while we're on this person's property, what other services are there around, you know, gardening, pruning, rubbish, garbage, they're all there. Can we provide to this person, and how can we connect with this person in a way that has them knowing that we can provide all those services? Does that make sense? It's just, again, you're still mowing the lawn, but it's just thinking about it in a different way. So we can either do it easy or do it tough. So if you think back, we talked before about different types of marketing, all about core flute signs, or, you know, contacting real estate offices. And I know some of the Jim's guys will tend to visit real estate offices and you know, present their services and talk about ways that they can provide some sort of a commercial maintenance program to the real estate, you know, the real estate clients, either commercial or domestic properties. That's one way of doing it. Okay, but that's not for everyone. Okay, and you think about that, some people, that just sounds like way too hard on doing it. So what it's typically going to be, we're going to talk about easier and harder ways tonight about marketing, and then you can determine what's going to work best for you. What you'll see, however, tonight is typically the harder ways can be, not always, can be more effective. So sometimes hard and effective, okay, are directly proportional to each other, whereas the easier ways are just not as effective. So the idea being is, you've got to pick something that's going to work well for you, and you still might need to stretch to do it, but do it in a way, okay, that's at least going to be effective. There's no point in making it really, really easy okay, but it's just not that effective, because what you have to do is you have to do a lot of work to get a little bit of a result. Does that make sense? And again, it's not about becoming a marketing guru, okay, and it's not about doing stuff that's going to be way too hard. It's just going to do something that's going to help you to get a result, and it's actually going to stick. Want to keep it as simple as possible. The simple system is just a matter of doing something a bit differently that makes yourself stand out. And when you think about a lot of service people out there that do what you guys do, I think it's easy to do it right, and I think it's also easy to do it wrong. So we don't have to stand out like crazy. What we have to do is just stand out a little bit different. So this won't happen by accident, okay, or by, mental powers or osmosis. What we have to do is it will require you to actually reach out to people, reach out. And so we're going to work out some ways of doing that tonight. So marketing is about having this on. It's really about that. It's about looking for opportunities to connect, and it might be on the phone, it might be some different ways. Again, we'll talk and workshop those tonight. Just having this on the whole time. And you think about it, you're out on the weekend doing stuff, you can always see opportunities out there. You're visiting someone's place, you're driving around, you're always, aren't you? You're always driving around right in your marketplace. Maybe you're not necessarily in your territory, but you know what I mean. You're always in your marketplace, and there's always opportunities out there. And I look at, younger people, who my oldest is now 26 and they're getting houses and stuff. I can tell you, that already. The last thing they want to do is mow the lawn. They haven't even got mowers, let alone cleaning gutters or doing any maintenance or anything. They like to have a nice looking place. They just want to have someone else to do it. So I think these days there's more opportunities than not less, but you've got to have, your senses on, open to looking at opportunities, but work out ways as well that you can simply reach out and connect with them. Not just think they're good ideas, but bring those new ideas into action. So the big secret, really around it is this: it's no matter how good your marketing is, if you don't have a where to now, what to do, then it's likely that many opportunities for marketing will pass you by. When you think about it, has that ever happened before? You've thought and been to an A customer's place and you've seen, I can do this, I could do that, I could contact the people next door, or I could do whatever it is. But if you don't have a way of making that happen now, what will tend to happen is you'll tend to maybe justify in your mind why you don't, but ultimately you don't. So we've got to have a way of saying when you can see an opportunity, or when you see or discover an opportunity to provide additional service, if you're not clear on this is the next step, this is what I can do now, it's easy, simple and effective, then what happens is, as humans, if we're not sure about doing something, we tend not to do it. So we need to have that in place. So the idea is to have the simple steps automatically ready to apply and ready to apply them now while you're on the spot. It's the easiest and most effective forms of marketing. So just for a minute, if you go back through these slides and let me just very quickly review them for you, what's been useful, This is a way of thinking. We're thinking outside of mowing, taking the blinkers off. Easy, hard, and harder are typically most effective, more effective, and typically easier ways are less effective. So again, working out a way that's worked best. Think about what you've done at the moment that maybe didn't work, and maybe because you weren't doing it well because you just weren't comfortable with it, or maybe it was so easy that it just wasn't that effective. So if you think about those, it's a matter of standing out, just doing something a bit differently, having your senses on for opportunities, and then having a next step. So think about that for a second. Welcome to take some notes. You can stop for a sec. What's been useful? What's been relevant? What's been important? Okay. If you've done that, let's keep moving. Let's now look at the 5 hot principles, and let's start workshopping some of these ideas as well. It comes back to, I call it discretionary marketing versus mandatory marketing. You've got to take control. It's your business. If you think about, Greg Nathan, we talked about Greg Nathan's book, Profitable Partnerships, in the first workshop, and the curve goes when you start paying fees, or you have to pay fees, you're not getting results. Then what can happen is that you can tend to want to blame someone else, and you might want to blame your franchisor, or you might want to blame the market or something else. But when you're driving your marketing and your customer service, you are completely in control. All this is about getting you in control of your marketing and getting you in control of your business. So when you believe that, Greg should be supporting you more, not that that's not important, and you believe you should be getting more leads from the call center, then what's happening is you're effectively relinquishing control. If you're driving around in your marketplace every day and there are people out there that need their lawns mowed, maybe they've never had it done before, or they need some other services, then you've got to take control. And we're going to work out today how you do that. Just excuse me for 1 second. My apologies. So if you drive your business and your marketing and you serve your customers, your A's consistently, you can become completely self-reliant. So the past workshop, the previous one, this one and the next one's all about just developing self-reliance, being in control, making money, and just having fun. Just keep it simple. If you recognize the x-ray of this particular very famous person, the heart of the marketing, okay, the heart of the marketing is to keep it simple, okay? So when you keep it simple, and if you think it's frustrating, then it typically will become for you. But we just want to work out to keep it really simple, but keep it in a way that's going to be able to connect with your customers. If it's simple to apply over time, it'll be easier to get momentum, and it'll be easier to maintain momentum. You got to practice. So when we work through some of the workshop areas today, you just got to go and try it once and try it twice. Always my recommendation, we'll talk about it when we start workshopping some of these things, is just try it once. Okay, and if it wasn't that effective, then try it again. But if you try 3 or 4 or 5 times and you find that it's not effective, check back in with Greg, check back in with your franchisor and say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I've done, not effective. Workshop it. Talk to one of the other franchisees, just workshop it, think about it. Okay, maybe the idea is right, but it's either a practice thing or you're just not applying it correctly. If you look at the game of golf, it frustrates the hell out of me. But I know, like anything else, that if you practice more, which I don't, but if you did, then it's like anything else. So once you've done something and you've done it 30, 40, 50 times, you know what it's like. Okay, it starts to flow, but you need to practice. The big thing, the big secret, if you like, in building marketing systems is to do one thing. If you start a new customer, start them the way you would like them to be as part of your business relationship with them. Does that make sense? So, what that means is that, you start them by being clear up front. This is our payment. This is the way the payment works. I will mow, I'll leave an invoice, and you've got 7 days to pay, or however you do it. Okay, however you do it. Often good clients start bad habits because we haven't started them strong. The second one you can do is you can let customers know, we'll talk about it in a second, that the way you build your business is by referral. And if they've come to you as a referral, they know exactly what you're talking about. So if you build your business by referral and you explain to them, so what you'll be doing from time to time is asking for a referral, or you'll leave a slip in the letterbox. If they come across someone else, can they let you know? Does that make sense? So starting clients strong by, this is the payment system, this is exactly what I'm going to do, I'm going to give value, and you need them to give value back, and start them that way. Then what you'll find that you're helping your good customers by educating them to help you in building your business by paying promptly and by providing referrals. Okay. We'll go through the marketing steps in just a sec. The key is to try a couple. Just try one thing and try something that maybe is one step up. That may not be going into the real estate offices if that freaks you out a bit, and I get that it would be a bit hard. It would be difficult for some people to do. I don't know. I think I'll probably find it a little awkward myself. But if you were to do something that's simple, then try a couple of different things. They used to talk about years ago in marketing was always the 9 pillars of marketing. And what that meant was, you can imagine 9 pillars. It means that one area will get you some results. It's like in a business, you have a website. But website's not the only way of marketing. You have some signage, there's another way. You have referral systems, there's another one. You're offering value systems. So there's a bunch of different ways. But while we're not saying you need 9 pillars, just try a couple of different things. Let's work on 1 or 2 or 3 things that are going to work well with you. Maybe you get one working well, then try something else that might either be an additional way or it might lend value to the way that's working best for you now. But just try some variety. All right, again, what's been useful? What's been valuable for you? Just spend a minute working through that, and then we're going to start to workshop some of these ways. All right, let's keep moving. We're going to start workshopping some of these things. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get down to look at some different ways. We're going to start from hard and work through to easy. Now, again, that's not my determination of these. When I used to run Jim's workshops, okay, when I say used to run them, when I've done a lot of the face-to-face type workshops, we used to talk a lot about asking for referrals. And I suspect with best of intentions, some people could go and do it and some people would just freak them out. Why do I say that? We'd do a follow-up workshop with that same group 3 months later. And when you asked who's asked for referral, you might get 1 or 2 or 3 hands up. Now, that's not like the rest weren't motivated to do it. They thought it was a bunch of junk. I don't think that was the case anyway. What happened was it was just all too hard. It was just difficult to do. So if it's harder to do and you're unsure and uncertain about it as humans, what tends to happen is we tend not to do it. Or we do it once and it feels weird and awkward and you drive away going, I wish I hadn't done that, and we just don't do it again. So we're going to talk about that today, but we're going to talk about other ways of getting referrals. Not that's going to let you off the hook, because I think any way is going to require you to stretch and require some consistency. But we want to start with hard and I think work through to easy, and not forgetting that typically the harder ones are the ones that are more effective and typically the easy ones are less effective. So let's have a look at a few of these now. Number one, we call this the full frontal approach. You know, in this one here, when the horn goes off, the pigeon has absolutely no doubt about what just happened. So typically, this is the most effective way of finding referrals. Okay, and any workshop I've ever done or delivered, and I know when we were delivering to Greg and the team, the people that put their hand up that said, I've asked for referral, typically the ones that managed to get referrals. So it is the most effective, and it can be a little bit confronting. It requires a bit of practice. And for you, I understand that for some people, it's just a tough gig. The way it works is very simply this, and you can actually write some of these out, okay, in your trusty notebook. And this is typically most effective with A's. Why? Because A's want to help, see value, okay, are typically the ones that, not always, but typically the ones A customers do refer you. They just need some help from you to help them to refer. But it'll work with your A's, it's not going to work with your D's. So the way we do them is it's a question like, you know, who do you know? Write that down. Who do you know? And that can be, for example, who do you know that would like their lawns looking like this? Who do you know that needs some rubbish, you know, cleared? Who do you know that needs some help with pruning? Does that make sense? Who do you know? All right. And if you're going to do, and we'll talk in a second about doing an email footer, if you email your clients, okay, I know you can put in there, you know, the best compliment is a referral. That's one way of putting it. And I think it's great to put that in, but I think that's quite non-specific. You know what I'd change that to? I'd make it specific and concrete. Who do you know that would also like their lawns looking like this, and maybe you've taken a little snap of their lawns and attached that? We'll talk about that in a second. Okay. So who do you know is one question. The second one is, how else can I help? And how would they know? You've got to be able to, you know, like the picture we saw before, have them know what else you can help with. Otherwise, it remains the best kept secret. Okay. So who do you know is one, and you fill in the blank. How else can I help? And the third one is, there's someone else you know who would, you know, like their lawns looking like this. So who do you know, or is there someone else you know? So the idea with that is that you try one of those three, you will find that it's most effective. These are typically questions that you'd not ask if you've just started a new client, okay? Because the way you could frame it with a new client is that, you know, the way I build my business is by referrals, and if they've been a referral to you, then they know what you're talking about. This would be one that you've perhaps could ask a question of with a, let's say, an A customer that you have had for, say, 3 months or 6 months or something like that. If you've had an A customer for a couple of years, it's a little bit tougher, I get it, but what you might start by saying is, I'm just trying some new ways of marketing. Can you help me out? I'm just going to try this out and let me know how that works. That pre-frames that you're asking for referral, but you're getting their help to do it. Does that make sense? So I know it's harder with them. And the second one is, which we'll look at step 2, sometimes these people are not home. All right, so let's look at some ways of doing it when the people aren't home. So number 1's full frontal. Number 2 is what we call the softly approach, okay? So the softly approach, the way that can work is it can still be face-to-face, okay? But the idea being of asking who do you know, that's getting them to think about someone else. It's getting them to think about someone else, okay? Can be a little confronting, but those that are listening to this and those that are in our workshops know that that typically is the most effective, particularly with your A clients, particularly if you're doing a fantastic job for them, which is obviously the benchmark. That's where you have to start. So the softly approach is, when you think of someone else that I can help, can you keep me in mind? Okay? When you think of someone else that I can assist, can you please call or keep me in mind? If there is something else that I can assist you with, can you please call me and let me know? Does that make sense? So that's saying, can you keep me in mind for referrals, and can you keep me in mind for other opportunities? That's, again, one of those face-to-face ones you do, but it's a little bit less than the full frontal. It's an easier question, because what then happens is they don't have to think of someone else, or you're asking for their help. You're asking for their help in the future. This is asking for their help right now. You cool with that? So again, you'll determine face to face, okay, which is going to work best for you. And again, the challenge is if they're not home. So if they're not home, okay, the questions are the same. The questions are exactly the same. And what you can do is, and I've seen this being really effective, is that if you've had, let's say, in the week 2 or 3 or 4 A customers, set aside a Wednesday night for between 7 and quarter past, or quarter past and quarter to 8, and just ring and say, hi, this is Jeff, mowing your lawns today. How's it looking? And say, and by the way, what I'm wondering is there anyone else you know that might like their place looking like yours does now? Does that make sense? You could do it that way, so you could substitute the full frontal question, but you're actually doing it on the phone, so you are removing yourself from being in front of them. And the second one you could also do is you could also use the softly question, just to ask, if there is someone else, can you please keep me in mind? All right, so what the script might look like is, hi, this is Jeff, just calling in to quickly check in and see how the lawns and garden, whatever it is you've done, are looking. How's it looking? I'm also wondering, is there anyone else you know who would like their place looking as good that I can help? Does that make sense? When you put in the word help, and I know that came up in the last workshop, when you ask for people's help, customers love to help. So is there anyone else they know of that can help? Or when you're asking for, can I ask for your help? So when you ask people to help you, customers love to help, customers love to screw you. So let's just work with the customers. All right, so same again. Do you have any family or friends that I may be able to help? That's a little bit more specific. Do you have any associates? Do you have any neighbours that I can help? That helps them to focus in, rather than thinking about everyone, just focus on neighbours or friends or family or associates or whatever, okay? So you can be with that as specific as you like, but it's a way of, rather than asking face-to-face, and particularly if they're not home, you could let yourself off the hook by saying, well, I can't ask the question because they're not there. This is another simple way to do it. And all you need to do is set aside, you think about it. If I ring 3 or 4, how long is that going to take? Set aside 15 minutes at night. Okay? This is what we call the electronic approach, and there's a couple of different ways to do it. Okay? So again, you can do this by following up with customers, and you might do it by email. And as we said before, if you're asking how your lawn's looking in an email, again, it's harder to obviously get feedback, but this might be a way that, for example, you could try the emails in conjunction with calling or something like that. So the emails, the way you could do it, okay, is you could pre-frame, for example, with new clients, that you'll be in touch by email as a follow-up after their lawn has been done, just to check in with them, okay, just so they know what to expect from you. And when you do that, what you can then do in your email footer is, rather than saying, your best compliment is a referral, you could say, who else do you know, or do any of your family members need help with their lawns? If so, please let me know. So there's a simple way you can follow up by email, have it happen every night directly after you've mowed the lawns, which is going to take you no time at all. And all it means is you need to have a little template set up, which you can set up using Outlook or whatever you use. And you can have that little at your email footer. Okay, who else do you know that needs their place looking like this, and have a little photo just next maybe of their place, or a place that looks pristine, whichever works best for you. All that you need to do is just give it a try. This was a notepad approach, which I know we had a lot of discussion with around in our last session, but really the notepad approach, I saw this being used by some of the regional franchisees. And these regional franchisees are typically the ones that don't get a lot of referrals. They just don't happen. They don't get call center referrals like some of the city dudes might get, the dudes and the male franchisees and the female franchisees get. And so they have to be able to become, resourceful, self-sufficient. And one of the ways I saw that was really effective was, I saw a little checklist. And this was a checklist, and at the top of it, you might have had, hi, this is, and you can have these printed, by the way, at Snap, and there's a bunch of different areas you can have them printed. And I know you can do printing online, but I'm not sure about volumes, but maybe if there's something good you find, you can just, combine with 2 other further franchisees and share the costs around it. But this particular one said something at the top like, hi, this is Dave from Jim's Mowing. And underneath it, I said, I noticed that. And down the left-hand side, it had lawns, it had pruning, it had rubbish removal, it had gutters, it had something else. Next to that word had a little tick box. He ticked a box and it said, your back gutters seem to be overflowing. Something like that, had a little comment. At the bottom of the space that said, I can do this next Wednesday, let me know, and the mobile number was at the bottom. Does that make sense? And this particular franchisee that I saw doing this, his habit was to fill one of those out with every single customer every single time. So it was almost like a follow-up report. So he would make sure he had them printed, had them in a size that just fit into his pocket, so he didn't have to go to the car, didn't have to go to the van, go to the truck. They were always in his pocket. Fill one out, leave in a letterbox. How much time did that take? Okay, how much time did that take? In some cases, if there was nothing to tick, he said, all looking good, and his mobile number was still at the bottom. Okay, so you could say, I noticed that at the top, or you could say, here's how I can help, and have those down the left-hand side. So if you were, for example, you think about filling these ones out, you took another minute to look around at the gutters and said, I noticed your back gutters full. They may not have even noticed it, and said, I can do it next Wednesday. The propensity. And I think the figures were, I think he told me that, just roughly, he didn't actually have it documented, but he said for all the ones that he leaves, he gets about something like, I think it's a 1 in 5 or 1 in 8, something like that, he gets a call back. Think about that. Would that have been, and look, whilst not everyone may result in work, but what was the propensity those people were going to ring? What was the chance if you hadn't left something? So I think that's one of those ones that you might choose to do in conjunction with leaving it, and you could follow up by phone call as another one, or leaving it and sending an email. So the notepad, is a way that, okay, you can have it on hand, it can be branded, it looks like yours, it has your mobile number on there, and if you fill one out every single time, and you can tell your customers that what I'm going to be doing is I'll leave a simple little, just a check-in list about, what's happened today when I've done your lawns if they're not home, and some other things that I've noticed while I've been there. Just let them know to your A customers up front, I'm going to leave them. They're going to expect it. If they don't want it, it's easy for them to just, either keep it or chuck it away. It's just a piece of paper. But also, if they want some help with something, you've got your mobile number, like bold at the bottom. They can go inside, ring you, okay, and before you know it, next week you've got another job, okay? I see that as adding so much. We talked before about adding so much value that what you're going to be able to do is just provide lots of help to people. All right, so maybe take some notes around those. Let's come back to, remember, full frontal, that's asking the question, who do you know? Is there someone else you know? Or, these are other services. Are there other services I can help you with? Number 2 is a softly. It's more about when, not who, but when. When you think of someone else, can you keep me in mind? Or if there's someone else I can assist, can you keep me in mind? Okay? So again, it's a more softly way. You can apply either, but do it on the phone. And the way to do it is to set aside just, it's a discipline around, say, between 7:15 and 7:30 at night, and you'll find a time that works best. Typically, I wouldn't do it on Fridays or Mondays, but middle of the week, just, 2 or 3 phone calls, see what difference it makes. Email, and include in your email footer, okay, who else do you know? So use the full frontal approach, but use it in your email footer. And the last one is a little note, okay? This is what I noticed. This is how I can help. I noticed that. How else I can help? Did you know we can help with? Any one of those 3. Okay, I think would be effective, and maybe you want to try a couple of different types of ones as well. But you're listing your services down the side, you're leaving one every time you mow, okay, or you do something else. Everyone knows exactly what services you provide, okay? So personal action plan. What I recommend you do now is look through those 5, and just work out what's going to work best for you, but do it now. My email address, by the way, is geoff at business, business-transform.com.au. If you need help, and I've had a number that have come back to me after our previous workshops asking for some help, really happy to help with any of those, whether it's going to be a mailer, or it's going to be a phone call, whether it'll be a note. If you need any help with it all, let me know. So good luck with all that, and we look forward to seeing all of the Jim's team at the next workshop. The next workshop we'll be doing is around customer service, and that'll pull all these 3 workshops together. So good luck with it all, and just keep building your business.